Computer. There we go. All right. Hey, you made it. You have it all, the life you want, except you're missing something. Welcome to The Guy Show, featuring the experts giving you the tips, tricks, and tutelage in wellness, lifestyle, and all things guy, and for the girls that love them. We are here to answer your questions and the things you want to know about. Welcome to The Guy Show. Hey, everybody. I'm really excited today. I have I have James Maskell. We'll call him Doctor because he's the doctor of the evolution of medicine. He's the CEO and founder of Evolution of Medicine. He's a clinical instructor in practice management at George Washington University. He's the impresario at the Evolution of Medicine Presents Functional Forum and author of, right here, you see it there, The Evolution of Medicine, Join the Movement to Solve Chronic Disease and Fall Back in Love with Medicine. I want to welcome to the show, James Maskell.
Great to be here, Jerry. We've got matching beards.
We do have matching beards, so that we're bearding it up.
Perfect for the Guy Show. It's great to be here with you, and it's been great to see your journey and evolution here, and I'm excited to be part of it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Today you have something you really need to talk about. You're launching it today with your company. Fire away. What is it that you're doing, man?
Yeah, so look, for the last few years, and the reason why you have the book, Jerry, is because you're an example of what we've been doing for the last few years, which is essentially, we want to bring doctors across to functional medicine, right? We believe that functional medicine is an operating system for medicine that's better designed for chronic disease. If you've been listening to this show, I'm sure all of your audience are accustomed to functional medicine and what it is, and you've heard from all the experts before. The reason why you call me doctor is because I'm not really a doctor, but I kind of play one on TV because, for the last 4 years, we've been building the network of doctors capable of dealing with this epidemic at scale. Right? That's really the issue, is that we realized 4 years ago, we saw what we wanted to do. There's just not enough doctors trained in the operating system, right? So for the last 4 years, we've been doing this show, we've been building it up, we've got the book, we've got a sort of a pathway from doctors to be able to, for doctors to be able to create a pathway for them to be able to become functional medicine doctors and actually do functional medicine, right? There's a lot of doctors out there that get it, feel a moral obligation to it because they've seen it work in themselves or their family, but still have a day job and sort of doing this on the side. And we wanted to sort of just get the army to be as big as possible, right? That's what we've been doing for the last 4 years. And ultimately, what we're announcing today is a new project that actually allows the potential of those doctors to be delivered to everyone, right?
Nice.
One of the things that we found so far is that all the little doctors are doing their own thing and they're all independent practices, which is great if you can afford it and there's one in your area and that person has any capacity. But ultimately, because the demand and supply of functional medicine has been so off kilter because it is so awesome, there's so many books about it, there's so many authors that are best-selling authors that are recommending functional medicine, the demand and supply has got out of control. And if you're a regular doctor where there's so much demand and so little supply, you can charge whatever you want. And that's made it, in its first iteration, somewhat unaffordable for the average person, particularly if they're living sort of somewhere between the coasts. And so what we've done is looked at what are the most successful functional medicine practices? How are they organizing themselves? And essentially, how can we give everyone in society the best chance of being successful and healthy, for the lowest possible cost? And so the new service that we're offering is called New Health. And essentially, what we're doing is creating affordable access to feeling good again. Feeling good again is something that you can do through a functional medicine provider. You can get back to a state of health where you're not on drugs, where you feel well, where you re-understand what health and vitality is, and we're making that accessible and affordable to the masses.
That's good. That's the hard part of being in practice. As you know, my wife and I have been in practice for 17 years, and that affordability is always an issue for people, whether they're insurance-based, whether they have insurance or they're cash-based at that point too. That's good. You guys are addressing that issue for a lot of people, and it is because it's so popular. It's not just popular; it's what people want. And so it is like our small practice here. We're 2 micro practices and a macro practice. We're booked out months. And so patients are calling and we're like, hey, it's not till the beginning or, first month, second month of next year that you can actually get in to see us, which is not a good thing, and so it's that controlled growth, so to say. And the model that you guys are putting forward there is a really good model.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we've seen, Jerry, and I'd love to get your feedback on this in real time, because I know we haven't really spoken about this directly, but one of the things that I've seen is that a certain percentage of those patients that come to see you, really the results that they get is from you activating them into their care, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get activated. Now they're doing the diet, they're doing the lifestyle, they're getting to bed early, they're meditating, they're exercising. And what we've seen is that for some practices tell us that between 50 and 75% of people, if you could just facilitate that,
Mm-hmm.
they get better without the need for a lot of expensive testing, a lot of supplements, a lot of things. Like those testing and supplements is needed for the 25% of people that have a serious diagnosis or on medication. Like they need someone like you to be able to go deep and work out what's going on. So what we wanted to do was basically put a layer between patients and the practitioners like you, where most people could get better for the cheapest cost. And so the two things that are involved in that, the first thing is, it's called New Health. And if you're going to get something called New Health, it's new with a K, so it's newhealth.com. But if you're going to create something that sounds like New Health, it better be new. It better not just be old stuff. So the functional medicine is the big piece. But the first thing that you're going to get when you sign up for New Health is a complete set of your own data. What we've seen so far is that people's data is spread around everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they've ever been to a hospital system, somewhere there are a note in the EHR, right? If they've ever had a test from Quest Diagnostics or LabCorp, Quest has those details somewhere. Maybe they're in a paper folder in your doctor's office or otherwise. And then, most people, 20% of people now are doing some sort of wearable, right? So 70 million Americans have some sort of wearable, MyFitnessPal, Fitbit, something there where they have that data in there. And then maybe you've done an intake form at your clinic where you have all of your intake data, and that's sitting in a piece of paper, in your doctor's office. The first thing that you do with New is the first thing that we set up is that you can bring automatically all of those things into one place that you own. It's not owned by the hospital. It's not subject to the secretary of the hospital can take a look and see what you've got because they've got access. No, this is yours and you own it. If we're going to do medicine right, if we're going to make it new, it's got to be patient-centered. And so we're really, we've learned from Jeff Bland and other people along the way that the new medicine is patient-centered. It's grassroots medicine. It's not the command and control system that we've had. And even functional medicine, just because it's come out of that command and control system, sometimes feels like it's got the same command and control energy, right? You've got to be compliant with my protocol, right? It's not
do what I say, not what I do.
What I say. Exactly. It's about creating the structures. The first thing everyone gets is that. And ultimately, that part of it, we're going to make available to anyone in the world. It's like mint.com for health data. Now, once you have that set up and you have all your data in there, then the second thing is we're going to provide coaching. And what we're seeing is that, coaching and community services are a much cheaper way of helping people to do the things that they already know that they want to do, that they're not being able to do. So I know, and you probably know this too, dude, is that when people come in, they already have a mental list of all the stuff that they're not doing now that they need to be doing. And, I need to drink less Coke. I need to not go and get food through the drive-through. I need to stop drinking soda. I need to exercise in the mornings. I need to, all this kind of stuff, right? Yep. And so it's ultimately helping them to facilitate that, not putting a massive list of new stuff on their schedule.
Right.
So that's why I'm coaching. So my partner, Gabe Hoffman, was a health coach for 12 years. We've seen how important the cross-section of functional medicine and coaching is. We've been encouraging, in our community, doctors to get a health coach. But ultimately, it's out of our control. We can't force you to hire a health coach, and we can't force you to do it. And also, we don't know what that happens. And so, I guess one of the things we want to deal with is we want to have a consistent experience of functional medicine, right? Maybe even in your town, Jerry, Jerry and Pamela are the good functional medicine doctors, and there's a guy down the road who's not such a good one, or whatever that means. How could we organize it so that everyone gets great care and everyone just plays their role in it? You have a set of skills that's not, necessarily coaching skills, but the coaching skills don't have your set of skills. As a diagnostician, as someone who understands structure to function, as someone who can actually solve some of the problems that come up when you do the complete intake. So the first section is the data, the second is the coaching, and then the third level is the functional medicine community that we've been building for the last 4 years. And so what we found is that there's an increasing number of doctors that want to do functional medicine, But ultimately, we see that, functional medicine can't just grow on the back of clinician entrepreneurs. In America, you have a lot of clinicians like you who just decide, I'm going to do this, I'm going to hang my shingle, and this is what my practice is going to be. It's a good model for America, and that's why we're building on this independent network of providers. But like in other countries like England, where I grew up, the idea of being your own doctor, being your own boss, running your own practice is not really there for most doctors. And so we're going to actually coordinate it so that we could end up contracting with, like in England, the NHS directly. So this would be a tool that the health service would say, okay, you've got Crohn's. We know that for Crohn's, functional medicine is better outcomes at lower cost. We want it. Can you help us get it? And that's what we're in the business of. And ultimately, we want you to be a solution to help people reduce the cost of chronic disease, whether they're people, self-insured employers, businesses. Like if you've got any CEOs that are watching this, we'd love to have a conversation about the expensive patients. If you're paying their healthcare, let's talk about the 5% of patients that are ultimately costing you 60% of your budget. Those are the people where if you target functional medicine, you can save a lot of money, and that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and within that model, you're taking that person, which is what we're always doing in practice, is trying to empower that person to take responsibility for their own health issues. And that's a great way to do that, is starting them out with that health coach, that nutritionist, to get them trained into that self-care, and then working up the ladder if something isn't going the way it's supposed to, or they have more advanced stuff to be taken care of. It's a perfect way to do it. And we've been trying to do that model here at our clinic itself too. But that's the hard part, is getting people to shift that mindset of taking control of themselves, being in responsibility for themselves. That's always the hardest aspect. But once you do that, once they switch that takes over. And it is most things in their health and their life can be done by simple things. They don't need a lot of advanced testing. They don't need a lot of nutritional supplementation. They just learn to eat right, exercise, do the things, and have that trackability there. Like you said, that's lacking within functional medicine, is that trackability of outcome.
Yeah. So we want us to know it's working. We want to know at scale that it's working, but we want you, the patients, to know that it's working too. And how are you going to know? You can track the data. So one of the benefits of being a member of New is that we're basically offering 95% off lab testing too. Like lab testing is actually a bit of a scam. Most people don't know this, but like if you go into your primary care doctor and he says, hey, you need these tests, and you give your insurance card over and you've got a high deductible, here's what happens. They do the test company bills the insurance company says, whoops, this person hasn't met your deductible, and suddenly you're paying $300 for a test that if you went directly to the lab would have cost you $10.
Yep.
And that's the thing. So what we're doing is cutting out all the middlemen, and for our members, lab tests will never be a profit center for us. We want to, if you're a member of our thing, we'll reduce the costs. And ultimately, for someone like you, Jerry, if someone shows up and they've got all their labs historically and you can see them all nicely written out, how much easier is it to know, okay, this is so easy. I can see it's all here. I don't have to requisition some tests and you come back in, a week's time or 2 weeks time. And then it's kind of like, why are they charging me for another visit? It's all of that inefficiency has to go. And this is hopefully what we're calling, functional medicine 2.0. And just to go back to the name for a moment, like with what you said about your patients, the reason why it's called New with a K is because ultimately, I think we all knew, right? The ancient wisdom from all these other groups. You have acupuncture skills. Like there's a knowing in the ancient philosophies of self-care, of self-responsibility, of being in the flow, like working with community and so forth. And so ultimately, what we hope that we're doing with New is reawakening people back to what they always knew, their intuitive side of their health. The kind of people that end up in functional medicine clinics is where the intuitive nature that makes them think there's got to be a better way than this. This doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. The reason why most people don't come to that is because what they've been taught about medicine, the way they've been indoctrinated, outweighs their own intuition.
Yeah.
For some people, the intuition is strong enough to go I'm not taking Paxil for the rest of my life. I'm going to deal with the underlying causes. And those people have found themselves in functional medicine doctors' offices. They're gritty. They're like the Navy SEALs of the health world, because they're going forward and trying to make stuff happen, and they realize they're not getting the best care. We want to make that mindset shift for everyone too. And so like to come back to more of an intuitive way of working. And honestly, dude, that's why 75% of functional medicine patients and 75% of functional medicine doctors are women.
Mm-hmm.
They get it. You know, this is the age of the woman. With, you know, the Guy Show can talk about that for sure. Is that, you know, this is a movement that's being led by women. This is, you know, all of the coaches that we have at New Health are all women at the beginning. There's a lot of health coaches there. Obviously, we'll be referring to men and women physicians, but ultimately, you know, the women trust their intuition more than their indoctrination, and that's why they've made their way into this new era of health.
Yeah, and they're, you know, and truthfully, we hear all the time from patients too, is they're just tired of being told there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And they feel they know something's there, but the lab work that's being run at a high expense, exactly like you said, isn't showing anything. So that more functional based testing comes into play, and our practice runs the same way. Is our lab work that we order is on just the cost of the test. It's no upscale on that at all, because it's not a profit center for us. We got to know what's going on, and that's why practitioners run the testing. So we got to know what's going on before we can figure out something deeper there when it's beyond that simple lifestyle changes there for doing that. And so I'm glad you guys are doing that as far as that aspect of at cost for testing. Because it's astronomical, the difference between a cash-based pay up front blood work that your primary or specialist may run versus what they're going to bill insurance.
No, totally. Yeah, exactly. And it was through witnessing actually clinics like yours, Jerry, where we'd be able to be like, no, we're not making this a profit center, right? This is, you know, this even that, you know, we want people to get their information. You know, our chief medical officer, Dr. Glad, you know, had pioneered this practice model where it was like, hey, if you're a member of my practice, then I'm going to help you out save money on, you know, grass-fed meat and vegetables and other food that you use at home, and, you know, labs and supplements and all this type of stuff. Just be in my crew. And that's why, you know, we made it affordable. So it's $99 a month. For that, you get unlimited access to the coach. You know, there's an internal referral service that's kind of like Angie's List for functional medicine. So we'll find someone in your state to practice medicine for you if you need that, and we'll make the connection with you there. Yeah, but ultimately, you know, we're super excited to be taking this through. And I guess I just wanted to talk about my own experience as far as, you know, my own health, because, you know, I've been overweight most of my life. And, you know, as I got to America, got more involved with this, you know, been improving. But one thing happened this summer that I wanted to share with you, because I think that,
yeah, please do.
As men, we're slightly less likely to sort of like admit something's wrong, right?
Yeah, we're fine. That's like, we're fine. My wife made me come in. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine, exactly. And I think, you know, one of the things that was really powerful. So this one thing I did this summer, sort of as a starting point, was I got my genetics done. And, you know, we did this genetics summit, and I just felt like it would be a good move to have everyone view an experience of what it's like to get the genetics tested. And if you want, maybe we can even put, when this goes live, we can put the link to it under there, because doctors, like I don't think had ever seen an empowering consultation around genetics, right? People would think that the old style of genetics, the only time you used a genetic counselor was to find out whether your kid had like cystic fibrosis or whatever, right? Had the cystic fibrosis gene. But actually, and so first of all, doctors had never seen that this could be empowering. And then also patients couldn't see that this could be empowering either. And I'll just give you an example for me of you know, for why, one of the reasons why I was overweight, or why I was more likely to be overweight.
Yeah, please do.
There's this gene called factor V. And if you have it or you don't have it, essentially, you know, you don't get satiated, right? You don't get satiated as quickly. So you and I could go out and we're eating pizza. I mean, I don't know if you eat pizza, probably not now, but like we're eating pizza, and you have a slice and I have a slice, and like you're starting to feel, oh, I'm a little bit full now. That was a pretty big slice. And I'm just like, I haven't even touched the side. I'm going to have 2 more slices.
Yeah.
And, you know, imagine even like in a buffet situation, you eat the first plate of food and you're like, well, I'm not full at all. I'm going to go and have more. Yeah. And then you eat more. And so what that taught me is, one, never find yourself in a buffet situation, right? Control the environment where you're not in a situation where you could just eat 5,000 calories in one sitting without even thinking about it. So like, you know, for instance, like I can remember, because I was like 6'2" when I was 13. I just remember growing up, like it was always like, oh, James, you know, you're a growing boy, eat all this food. And then like I stopped growing when I got to 6'5", and then I was just like just growing outwards because I just
you stopped this way and went that way.
Exactly. So now I'm just like eating more and more food and drinking and whatever. And so what I've really discovered now is that, is that it's important for me to control my environment. So just that knowledge about myself, learning more about myself, and understanding that, my genetic strengths and weaknesses put me in a position where I could be a lot more clear about who I am and what I'm doing, and setting all that up.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately it's been a big shift for me mentally. And I just feel like, maybe genetics is going to be I think men also like definite information. They want data, they want to see. And I wonder whether genetics will be I think it might be sort of a portal by which men can start to understand themselves better. And it'll be the beginning of the journey for them. Whereas maybe, they wouldn't come voluntarily until they actually got an autoimmune disease or whatever to come and see a functional doctor. But maybe they'll get their genetics tested and they'll see, okay, I've got MTHFR heterozygous, and I realize that I don't detoxify well, and this is a fact about me. So let me go and see how I can improve that function, ahead of time, so that I don't get, type 2 diabetes when my detoxification systems are overloaded. So, I just wanted to share that with guys there, is that, and obviously in you right now, we're going to be adding in the opportunity to get your 23andMe, get that data into the system and learn about some things that are actionable for you. That's probably going to be 2018. But it had such an impact on me that I just wanted to share it, because I feel like, we need as many doorways as possible for men to be able to have these kind of understandings. And honestly, dude, this show is one of those, right? The Guy Show, if it fulfills its potential in the next 10 years, how many men are going to be engaged into coming into their health through what you're doing? We're all on the same team here, ultimately.
Yep, exactly.
We're trying to change medicine. We're trying to transform medicine into a patient-centric, predictive, preventive, participatory system. And so you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, and we're all working together to create something harmonious.
Yeah. I can share my health stuff too. Is I've always had an issue with losing weight. I did Ironman a couple of years ago, and with all that training for Ironman, I lost like 10 pounds. And I'm a shorter, bigger guy, so I'm 6 foot. At the time I started, I was about 230. I got down to about 217 during Ironman. But no matter what I do with training, CrossFit, diet, and everything else, I'm not able to lose body fat. I'm super strong, but I couldn't lose body fat. So did my 23andMe, discovered a couple things on there, some genetic stuff that was showing that my body type and how I train was different. I should train more endurance than strength, so changed that up a little bit. Also did some hormone testing for myself and discovered I produce too much estrogen. And so put an estrogen blocker within there, aromatase inhibitor, and I started dropping body fat like crazy. So that was key in discovering my issues in itself. Is like, no wonder why I can't lose body fat no matter what I do, is because I was producing too much estrogen. And I see that quite a bit in a lot of my male patients is, they're coming in, they're frustrated, they got the bellies, they got, all this fat. They're just like, gosh, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight. We're running the genetic testing, we're running the hormone testing, and we're seeing these issues come up that, this is why we're not seeing it. We don't know why yet that's occurring. It could be a genetic issue, could be environmental. So that's part of that.
Plastic.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Plastics in the environment is a big one, those endocrine disruptors.
Yeah.
But it's huge in seeing that this information, they're going to their regular primary care doc, they're going to specialists in there, and they're just like, gosh, there's nothing showing up on your blood work itself. It's like, well, because it's isn't technically a disease state, it's a functional state there. So that advanced testing, and then definitely, as you're saying with New Health, which is perfect, is get that self-care going early. It makes our jobs as practitioners a million times easier, that we're not having to wait for all these data points to come in, like you were saying, because we can get them, we can look at them, we can put them on the wall, we can then sit down and really see the matrix of that person and what's going on, and then correct it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's such a great point. And I do see that that there is a role now for, like, how you have genetic counselors, right, who have been helping people with in utero. This is the era of the epigenetic counselor, surely, right? Where you're talking about, here are your genes, what can you do to maximize the performance of your genes? And in that context, I think that's how we'll get, men to catch up to women and really understand this new paradigm of predictive, preventive, personalized and participatory healthcare, the 4 Ps. I think this is the direction it's going, and ultimately functional medicine is just an operating system for delivering that consistently. And so our goal here is to facilitate the consistent delivery of functional medicine across payers, across providers, across groups, And that's the purpose for New Health. So check it out, newhealth.com. You can, you sign up today. We're getting a lot of interest because people have been looking for this. But if you sign up, as soon as we have coaching available, we'll let you know. And ultimately, it's all delivered through the phone. It's super easy. It's delivered through the phone. The first level is here. And then if you need to go deeper, you can actually show up at an office. But, we're also seeing this is that like people, in the first era of functional medicine, you're the only doctor doing it in your zip code or in your area, whatever. So people maybe have to drive an hour or two to come and see you. And so we just want to try and reduce all the inefficiencies that we can so that more people can have more access to the care more affordably.
Perfectly. So it's New Health, KNEW, right?
Yep.
.com. And then you also have the goevomed.com and functionalforum.com. And James, thank you for being on. You're such a breadth of knowledge in everything functional medicine, and you travel and promote it like crazy. I dig all that you guys are doing with all your different companies. I think the New Health model is going to be amazing, and the growth from it is going to help so many people. It's going to take those early stages of stuff that we don't have to do in practice. That actually is the majority of what people have problems with. And getting that care through New Health is going to make our job as practitioners a million times easier.
I hope so. I think so. It's looking good so far. Thanks for having me on, Jerry. Keep kicking ass, and great to be in your community.
Yep. Thanks for being on, James. We'll see you later.